This will be part 8 of our PyTorch tutorial for beginners, and in this part we are going to be creating our model. Now the model we are going to be creating, as I showed you before, is right here. So what you see, this is a neural network. Of course, deep learning is simply using neural networks, and so we are going to be creating this network you see. So how do we define the input layer, the hidden layer, and the output layer? This is exactly what we are going to be doing now. And there are 3 steps to follow. We are going to create a class that extends the nn.module class. We are going to define the layers of this network in the init method. We are going to specify how data will pass through this network in the forward function. So let's go ahead to create this model now. So I'm going to do the step by step, and I'm going to be explaining to you as I go. Again, if you are joining for the first time, please remember to subscribe to my channel, because in this way you motivate me to keep making this lesson. So first we are going to create a class, neural network. I'm going to call it neural network, and it's going to extend. If you want to extend the class in Python, you are going to put it as a parameter to the class you are creating, nn.module. Okay, so now sorry about this. Okay, I actually don't like, I don't like to see the error message. Okay, so I remove the error message. Now we want to create, we define the layers of this network in the init method. So that means that we are going to write the init method. So I'm going to write the init method def init, and I'm going to say self. Now we are going to call the superclass init method from nn.module. So super.init. Okay, so this is what we have. Now the first thing we want to create is the flatten layer. So this is the input layer, this layer right here. So how do we create this input layer? So to create the input layer, I'm going to put a command here, create the input layer. So how do you create an input layer? To create it, you have to use the flatten, you have to create a flatten object. So I'm going to say self.flatten is equal to nn.flatten. So what did we do here? We created the input layer. Make no mistake about it. Let's create our hidden layers. We create the 2 hidden layers. So this is where you need to pay attention. We are going to stack 2 layers together, and these layers will be based on rectified linear unit activation function. And I'm going to write the syntax for doing that. We are going to create a sequential object, giving it several parameters. So I'm going to say self.linear relu stack. Now we are going to sequential. So here in sequential, we are now going to specify all the layers we want have to be in here. So we're going to create it one after another. So the first layer we are going to be creating is the 28 by 28 512. So it's going to be nn.linear, and I'm going to say 28 by 28. So the input to this layer is 28 by 28. Where is this coming from? It's coming from here. So the 28 by 28 image is coming from the input layer, and this layer here is given to this layer 28 by 28. This layer, it takes 28 by 28 and gives the second layer 512. So this layer takes 28 and I don't know. Okay, so I'm not going to do this. So this layer takes 28 and produces 512. So this is 28 by 28 input 512. That's the first hidden layer, and the activation function is going to be nn.rectified linear units. This is the first one, and we are going to create the second layer, nn.linear. This layer is going to take 512 and produce 512. 512 and produce 512. And the activation function is going to be nn.relu. And the final layer is going to be the last layer, which is this one, right? So this is going to take 512 and produce how many? 10, because the label is going to be 0 to 9. So I'm going to nn.linear, and this is our output layer is going to take 5, 1, 2, and produce an output of 10 dimensions. And now we don't need an activation function at the output layer. Okay, so this is basically our neural network defined. Now we also need to specify how data will pass through this network in a function called the forward section. So the output of the neural network before activation is applied. So I'm going to first, let's define the forward function. So I'm going to go one step back, define forward. X is equal to self.flatten. We're going to specify X. So we are trying to provide the output. So this is output of this layer at this point. I'm going to say logits is equal to self.linear, and we are going to return the outputs. Okay, so this is basically it, and we've created our neural network. And this is exactly how to create a neural network. The only thing you might worry about is right here, the number of layers you have. So what is logits? This line here, so logits, this is the output of the neural network before activation is applied. So we have the forwards, how data passes through the network in the forwards. Before activation is applied, this is the output. We return it because we are going to actually be back propagating the output back to the input to adjust the weights of the network. Okay, so I'm going to move this network to the device, to the device, which is actually the platform. In this case, is the CPU. Our neural network dot to device, and we are going to print model. All right. So this is what we have. We want to see what this model looks like on a CPU. I'm sure you want to see what it looks like. So let's see. Hopefully this goes well. Perhaps you forgot a comma where nn.linear 28 by 28. Oh, I need a comma right here. Okay, so I'm going to run. Right here. Okay, so this is our neural network, as you can see. So we have 1, 2, 3. This is the output. This is 2 hidden layers, and this is the input layer right here. Okay, so this is our neural network. We built our neural network, and then what next? So this is our model. We've created our model. Now, the next thing we want to do is to train this model, right? We want to actually take our training data set and run it through this model to train this model. And that means in the next part of this tutorial, which is part 8, we are going to first, we created the neural network. We are going to then train the model. So we are going to continue in the next part, and that will be part 9. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed, and we see you in the next part.